Hello and well met. This is Founder Layrune with Fantasy Grounds Academy. Today I'm going to work on some more map stuff that's related to the map tools that are built into the Fantasy Grounds Unity platform. Today I'm going to map another part of the haunted house that I was working on the other day. So this is a part 4. First video I made got cut short because we had an internet outage. The second video was some mapping. The third was character creation in the same setting or the same session. And this one is going to be similar to episode 2. So what we have here are a bunch of tiles, and these maps are by Chris McDermott. We know him as the Maphatter, also the person who puts out all the Meander series maps. These are on the Fantasy Grounds store and also on his website at Game-tile Warehouse 2020. So if you do a search for that, you'll find these. But I did the first level in the map tool, so I'm going to go up to the second level, which is connected to this. So I'm going to take a peek at this. So if you click on one of the links that he's provided in the module, it'll bring up the image. This particular map pack was created before Unity, so you'll probably have to go in and add your own line of sight, which is a good practice. So I want to go ahead and check this out, see what we got. So this is map number 2. This could be another level of your lair or where the bad guys live, basically. So I'm going to go ahead and put some line of sight things on here, some effects, that sort of thing. But I wanted to show you that they have to be in your assets folder or as a module in your library. Once they're loaded, they'll be in the images section if you've created the map link for it. And in here is, you notice there's a group here, but if you want to go ahead and separate or filter this, you can take and use this in your mouse wheel, and let me click on that. So this kind of narrows it down to the different maps that are included in the pack, so you don't get confused. Usually the first thing you want to do if you have an image like this one's pretty busy. It's got a lot of content in it already, so you don't have to add too many assets. But there are maps in that pack that are not filled with things, so you can fill with your own content. I'm going to go ahead and map this one. It's a little bit more complex. So without further ado, let's get going. So I'm going to stretch the map out to where I can actually see it a lot better. You do that by manipulating the bottom right corner. And I'm just going to expand it out. And then you want to unlock it, provided that it's not locked or sealed. In other words, sometimes you can't, depending on what the content is. And then we're going to go ahead and expand this. So there's a little toggle toolbar up here on top, and you click the zoom to fit. It's very important that you learn these functions even before you start working with these maps. So learn how to stretch the frame where you want it, learn how to access the map tools, and to know where these little shortcuts are. You can also right click on the map, click view, and then you can do zoom to fill, which will fill the whole screen up, or zoom to fit. Or you can use these arrows to do that for you. So I want to be able to see everything, but at the same time, if you're zoomed in too close, it's kind of hard to map this. So there's a couple schools of thought about how you're going to do the walls. In most cases, you can probably get away with a single line. However, that can be challenging if you don't have a thicker wall for a secret door, because then the secret door will stick out and it won't be such a secret anymore. So we'll have to show how that might affect your mapping. But for the most part, you can get away with a single line. Some people will do the double line. Just remember that you don't want the lines on the very edge of the map. You want to be able to see the actual content. You want to be able to see the windows and that sort of thing. So this is one way of doing it. It's not the gospel, but this is what I've been studying and practicing and watching everyone else do. So I'm going to go with the single line method. I think it's much easier. and less time consuming. So with that said, the first thing I normally do is I'll put in the doors and windows. So being that this is a multi-story place, I think what I'm going to do is treat these upper places that don't go anywhere as basically potentially just windows. And then anything that has a door, I'll handle it that way, because there's actually a door to come in this way, and it's like a secret area. You got these switches here, and it would probably bring in a secret door through this wall. So I might make this a double wall if I wanted to pretend that this is a secret door right here on the corner. Or I might do something different, but for the most part, this area is not accessible easily without going through another hallway. So I'm going to go ahead and make one of those bookshelves the door. And then you can come in from the side here, and there's a couple switches. You probably have to flip them a certain way to get to trigger the bookshelf. So that's kind of a cool little thing there. So I'll put that in there, and I'm going to actually make that a thicker wall because it's harder to create the secret door if you don't. So that's kind of what I'm doing there. So anyways, we're going to take and first start putting in the doors and windows. So that's probably your first step. You don't have to do it this way, but if you want to, or you can put the walls in. So I'll just do that. So go to the line of sight tool, which is this brick wall symbol, and then make sure that you're on the wall tool. And then I'm going to take the rectangle tool and just draw a big rectangle around the edge of this map, but I'm going to also come in a little so it's not perfectly centered or on the edge. I want it to actually be kind of in the middle of all that material there. So that's just one big line there. So you just have that, and that's pretty much, that takes care of that area. Now what you could do is do something similar with the room. So you can even overlap a little. So what I mean by that is I'm going to take and do the same thing for this room, but instead of doing it on the inside here, I'm going to come out to about the center, and then I'm going to draw the square, and I want it to overlap the existing walls a little, because you can actually take those out later. So you do that, and then you can actually come back and get rid of the little tails if you want. You don't have to keep those excess walls. So right here I can actually take this and double click on it, and I'll be able to delete this whole line down in here too. So what I'll do is I'll draw a line through there, and then I will erase it. So I'll show you that later, but I'm just going to get the majority of the walls in so that it's simpler to do instead of trying to just click one at a time. So here's another wall I'm going to put in, and again I'm going to overlap the other walls because it's not a big deal, and you can actually delete that excess line when you need to later. So there we go. So there's the other square, and if you notice I did overlap, I came over to the outside of it, so that's fine. You can fix that later. You don't have to do it right now. It's trying to stay in one tool at a time. So once you're done with that tool, you can decide if you want to edit or if you want to move on. I'm going to move on to the windows and the doors. So I don't really have any particular doorways that I want to use, but there is a staircase that comes up from the bottom floor. So I'm going to say that this over here on the right is where the door is. So I'm going to go ahead and draw a door in there. And that is going to be a matter of me just taking and putting this door symbol in here. So I'm going to go to the door tool, and I'm in the rectangle tool. I'm just going to draw it in this group, in this little area here. And that's going to be the door. And then for a secret door, I'm going to come over and do this wall. I'm going to actually double up on the wall, in which I said earlier I wouldn't, but in this case I'm going to. So I go back to the selection tool, click anywhere on the map, and hold down the middle mouse button, and you can move the map back into place, or you can use this little navigation arrow button down here on the bottom right. So that's basically the thing I'm going to do here. And then for this area here, I'm going to make a little bit thicker. So I'm going to start here and hold down the shift key, and I'm going to go back to draw mode, and I want to go back to wall mode. So I'm actually going to make this wall a little thicker because I want to put a secret door. So I'm going to click on here, start, and then hold the shift key down, and that'll make a straight line, so you don't actually goof up or make it crazy. And then just double click, and that stops your line there. And then I'm going to come up here, click on this line, and then hold down the shift key and double click. So you see it leaves these little tails, so you don't have to worry about those too much until you're done drawing all your lines. And like I said, the only reason I'm doing this because this is going to be a secret door back here. So I want to make sure that it doesn't poke out or look too obvious. The other thing is I want to finish up the windows and the doors up on this upper floor. I think that these two switches will open up secret doors into these little rooms here, or these rooms might be accessible from the windows on the outside. They're kind of like a secret chamber, so you can do whatever you want. But I'm going to go ahead and consider another area here as a secret door. So I'm going to do the same thing and just drag this over and make another line. So just click in draw mode. I'm in the line mode. So I'm just going to click here, hold down the shift key. It's going to make a straight line, and to just double click. And that makes the extra line that I'm looking for this particular room. And I'm doing this because when I put the secret door in, it'll show if I don't have a little bit more thickness. So I'm going to put the secret door in now, which is going to be basically behind the bookshelf. So again, I'm going to take a door, or a secret door in this case, which is a toggleable wall, and I'm going to draw it inside of this area here so it doesn't show up too much. So just make sure I'm on the snap to grid. And this half of this bookshelf is basically the door. So I'm going to click here, and when I say here, I'm talking about the wall itself, and just kind of come just past it, and then come down here. And you want to hit the shift key if you want to make sure that you're getting a good. Oops. This is actually a closed square, so it's gonna. Yeah, I don't want to do that. So let me pick something like this, and I'm going to go to the door or secret door tool and the rectangle tool. It'll be easier. And then just kind of come through here, left click and drag until you come up with this doorway here. So this is going to be the opening for the door. So this thing swings out. So that's going to be a secret door there. And I'm going to have another one over here, very similar. So I'm going to do the same thing. Just drag this close to the wall as can, and then just kind of come through here and make this as the doorway. I want to put it right there. Right there. Okay. So what will end up happening is we're going to get rid of eventually we'll get rid of the wall here, because we don't want that to cover this. So I'm going to hit Control Z, and maybe I can undo this. So yeah. Okay. So basically I'm going to use this frame or this doorway as a secret door. So now when you're done placing everything, you'll go and clean things up. But I still have the windows to do, so I'm going to grab the window tool and the rectangle, and I'm just going to draw those in these blank spots, which are basically going to be considered windows. You can make them doors because the maps are meant to connect to each other, so these would be connection points. But since this is just the top floor or upper floor, I'm just going to make those windows. You could have a staircase that's outside, I guess, but I'm just going to go ahead and draw these in. And these are just going to be windows. So that's what all these areas, I'm going to consider these as windows. Depends on what you want to do, but there's that. And then you have this one down here. So I'm going to put that one in. Pretty sure there's a couple over here. Oh yeah. So this could be a big staircase or something like that here. Yep, there's some more. So the Meander series has these windows and such. So they are actually doorways. So if you want to make door frames and such, or you can make those windows. So I just made them windows. I'm going to call this one the actual stair. So back to editing now. So once you have everything in place, or most everything, we'll then do that. So I'm going to put terrain on top of the bookshelves. So except for the one with the door. So that'll help give them a clue that that's actually not a real shelf. So I'm just going to take the terrain tool and just draw a rectangle around this top part. So that's just going to be like this, and it's not anything fancy or anything important, but it allows you to block some of the light coming from there. I don't know if this is a table or a shelf. I think it's a table, so I'll just leave that as it is. This is like a armoire or a hutch right here, so you could technically put this on top of here because it stands taller than most people. So that might be covered. And then anything in here, like this table, the shelves, or some beds. What else do we got? We might want to put terrain on. There's some cabinets and such. Those don't look very tall. And here's the other bookshelves. So I'll go ahead and just cover some of this up. Okay, so that's basically just a little bit of terrain just to kind of give a little contrast. That's basically it. So once you have everything placed, then you can go back and edit your lines. So for instance, this is a window. We don't want this wall to go through. So I'm going to go to the line tool and make sure I'm in the wall tool. And I'm just going to click a couple times, double click. It makes this little divot here. So if you double click on this single point here or any of these points, I usually do the center, but you can do, if you double click, it'll select all the lines in here. And then you hit the delete key. And what it does is you also have to be in the selection mode. So I'm going to double click, and then you're going to hit delete. And then you're going to single click on this and hit delete on that, and that gets rid of the door. So that's how you get rid of doorways and things that are in your way. So I'm going to go through here and do this. Whoops, I didn't want to put it right there. So I'm going to go through here and do this for most of everything I want to get rid of. It is a little bit time consuming, but it's how you can get rid of the excess lines. So you just systematically go through everything. Yep, here's one I missed. So I'm going to have to go back to the window tool and go back to the rectangle tool. I'm going to draw that in like it's a window frame. Okay, then go back to the line tool. I'm going to make this, whoops, wrong tool. So you're going to make this a wall tool. Double click, and then go back to the selection tool. Double click on here, hit delete, and then single click on this and hit delete. And that will get rid of the excess lines. So make this faster. You want to come through, and any lines that you want to get rid of, just come through and create a line through something like this. And if this is giving you trouble, you can turn off the snap. That way you have more control over what you're doing. Okay, and then same thing with here. So I'm just going to go through and systematically delete these. So what happens here is you have this vertice here. So all you're trying to do is come up and you're going to double click, delete those. But it didn't make a line. It didn't make a complete vertice. So I need to have an excess line on the other side. So go back to the line tool, click out here, and then do it. Oops. Okay, then you come back here, double click, delete that, then click this, and it'll delete that center line in there. And you're going to do the same thing with this. So I got these a little bit too tight next to the wall, so that's why it didn't work. So I'm going to come back in here and zoom in, And I have the magnetic snap off for this reason. So I want to go ahead and draw a line here. Oops, don't want that. Nope. Okay, so then just click this. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. So you go back to the selection tool, double click the center. See, that gets rid of the lines, and then this little vertice here, you just have to single click on that and that should get rid of it. Oops, maybe I didn't do it right. But nonetheless, when you get this finite, when you're in the tool, this is going to give you a lot of grief. So just giving you a heads up. Okay, let's see what we got now. So I'm going to take this, double click on the center, make sure you're in the selection tool. Okay, and then single click on there. That should get rid of that. See, it only did it on one side because I had another point there, so I'm going to have to repeat this. So come up here. And just double click, then single click in the center, double click here. Oops. Then yeah, not sure what's going on, but it's not letting me, because I think it's way too tight. Like it's way like too finite. So the other thing I can do is highlight these two and then hit the delete key. That should take care of it without deleting the entire line. So yeah, so that when you get into tight spaces like that, you can do it, but you just got to be patient. Same thing with this. I'm going to click and delete center, double click it, hit this, click that, hit that. So it's not that bad once you get a rhythm. And that's kind of like what we're going to do here. So I'm just going to get rid of that little tail. And then here, you can get rid of that, which is just going to take out the excess that we don't need. See, it took it all out. And then this line here, same thing, just come through here, double click. Let's see. I got that, and then come back to the selection tool, double click here. Gets rid of those, and then you have these points here to get rid of, so you just single click on them and that gets rid of those. So that's basically how you do this. And if you want to bring this in so it's not outside the map, just got in the selection tool, so I'm going to turn on this magnetic snap again and then just bring this in, and that will collapse that down to where it'll be sitting on the edge of your map where you want it. And that's kind of the same thing here. You could also do that, but come in here like that. That'll help a little. But I want to get rid of this, or move this line first. So I'm in the selection tool. So I go ahead and move that in because it's too far out. And it's going to affect a lot of different things because of the way I drew it. So you got to make sure that you close the ends on these double walls if you're going to leave it that way. But I don't intend to leave that line. There's no need for it, really. So I'm just going to go ahead and draw a line through it and get rid of it, just like I did with the other one. So just come through here, double click, go back to selection tool, just double click on any of these points, hit delete, and then I'm just going to click there and delete that line. And that cleans that up, so you don't have that. This extra line back here isn't necessary. So I'll do the same thing. Draw another line in here. Come back to the selection tool, double click, delete, and then delete this point here. So you can do this systematically as you go through this. So I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to turn off the magnetic snap, go back to the line tool. I'm going to start down here so There we go. So I went through both of those. I'm going to go back to selection tool, double click on these, get rid of that, get rid of this point, get rid of this point, and it just cleans it up. So that's a way you can handle this if you need to. And this outside line as well doesn't need to be there. So I will just go ahead and grab a line, come through here, double click. There's my vertice basically. Take that selection tool, double click here, hit the delete key, and then highlight that line and take care of it. Same thing with this little tail, I'll get rid of that. So that's basically how you clean these up when you're done, is you just come back. And this way you're not switching between the tools as much. So technically, if you wanted to, you can come through and make all these lines ahead of time. And then that way you're not going to have to keep switching back and forth, back and forth. Here's another line that I want to get rid of. So go ahead, draw a line through there. And this one, same thing, like that. So basically that's how you work with the doors. You're just going to take these and double click and put in these lines so you can clean these up. And I don't need this outside line here, so just get rid of that. And this one too. So that's basically all you have to do here. And same thing with this line here. And you get rid of this outer line. Don't really need that. So take this and double click here. That will help that. This one will leave. This door, we need to get rid of this one. There's that. That was kind of sloppy. So go back to, there we go. That's most of it. So once you get done with that, then you just go back and delete these little tails. So if we go to the selection tool, double click, delete, single click, delete. Same thing with this. So you can get rid of the little tails and all the little excess. There we go. So just excess things that you don't really need. Get rid of them. Just like that. It's a lot easier than switching back and forth with tools. So this makes it a little bit quicker and efficient to do it this way. So you're not constantly having to switch around. So this is kind of a mess here. So here's a tail I'm going to get rid of. Here's another tail. I'm going to get rid of this line here. So just double click there, click delete, click the single link. There we go. So you're just going to go through this and clean up all of the doors and windows. And so this one's got to be handled a little different. So I need to connect these two with a line since it's thicker. So I got to click on this, and I'm in the wall tool. So I need to come click down here and right here. And that will make that a frame. So if you have a double wall, you have to do that with these doors. And then I'm going to get rid of this extra line. And then I go back to the line tool. I'm going to get rid of these extra points here I don't need. And then this thing, I'm going to get rid of this. And that encloses the doorway, and then you could take these points and move them towards the vertice there so you don't have any leakage on the sides. There you go. So you don't even have to do anything fancy there. And this I'm just going to leave. It's not a big deal. It's not going to hurt anything. Here's another little tail I don't need over here. And I got to do the same thing with this doorway. So I'm going to the line tool, and I'm in the wall tool. I want to basically enclose the door since I have a thick wall. And the reason I did this is because of the secret door. Okay, now that that's in there, now I can take these points in the selection tool and kind of scooch them in so they line up better with the wall and you don't get any light leakage. So that's how that's done, just so you can tighten it up. That's pretty much the majority of what you have to do with doors and such. So that's just that. And then if you wanted to come back and move any other lines, you could. So as I go through here, I might find other things I need to adjust, but for the most part, that's done. So this wasn't too bad. It cut back a little bit of time. And here's our secret doors. Now, one thing I forgot to mention was that I didn't put a grid on the map, so you definitely want that first. So the map is scaled for 50 by 50. That might be a little small, so you might go with 60 maybe, just to kind of give it some. And then you can adjust the tint by clicking on the color grid picker, or you can pick some of the colors that are in the photo. So if you use the eyedropper tool and just hover over an area, you can find something that you might want to use as your grid. So maybe it's that. I kind of like the yellow, and then I just turn it down so it's not so obnoxious, and then hit OK. And if you notice on the outside here, it looks like the grid is lined up pretty good, so I'm going to leave that. But this is basically how you set up your map. So you put the grid on first. I kind of skipped that, but that's what you want to do first. So that's just a way that you can speed up the process a little bit and make things a little easier on you. That's basically, hey Rolvis, what's up? And that's basically how you do that. You're just gonna systematically go through and line stuff out. So maybe I want some mist in this room. Maybe there's a ghostly apparition, or maybe out in the hallway. So what we're gonna do is put a effect on the map. And I have a really cool thing I wanted to show you. So I'm gonna go to the effects button up here on top, create a new effects layer down here at the bottom. And this is going to be like a fog. So I'm gonna drop this down and go to mist. And you can see it kind of covers the whole map, and it's kind of going too fast. So you turn this down, maybe like to 54, so 53 even. There's 48. So 48 goes to the right, and it's going fairly fast, but not bad. And then for the amount, I'll turn that down to about 60. So that way it doesn't cover up all the details. And then I put a little blur on it. So basically that's mist, and you don't want it on the whole map, so we only want to show it in certain areas. So I want to show it in the hallway. So I'm actually going to trace and make a square right here in the hallway. That should bring you out to the walls basically, and up to the bookshelves, up to the doorway, right about there. And then I'm going to do the same thing down here. So I'm just going to come up to this edge here and come down right about there. So that basically gives you an idea of where this is taking place. And you see there's supposed to be a window here, so I didn't draw that in, but I didn't come quite far enough over, so I want to grab that. So that's good. And come over here and do the same thing. I gotta fix this a little bit. So there we go. So that's the first layer of fog, and it's going from left to right. So what I want to do is show you how to make a swirling effect. So the direction of this fog is going to the right. Put another fog layer on top of it, and it goes to the other direction, goes to the left. It makes a swirling effect. It's really cool. So I'm going to go ahead and add another effects layer. It's going to be mist again. So I'm going to do that. It's going the opposite direction, so I'm going to make that like 52. And then you can see it's already starting to make that swirling thing. But I got to put the mask on there. And I'm going to do the same thing I did for this area. It's just line out the area that I want to show for the mist. So right about there. And then I'm going to do the same thing up here. Map. So just come down here. Nope, that's not what I wanted. So just come up here and unmask this area. Just unmask this area just in case. And what you're going to get here is a swirling effect, and I want to turn it down. It's not so bright. I'll turn this one down to about 50. The other one was 60. This one is 50, so that's their transparency. So what it does is it creates this like swirling effect. When you zoom out, you can see. I just got to go up a little bit more. Okay, so you get this back and forth return kind of effect to it. So it looks like it's swirling around instead of just floating through. So that's kind of cool. That's an effect that you can put on there. And then if you want to, you can kind of put like more shadow in there, however you want to do it. There's some candles in here, so I might put some light on that. So if you go back to play mode, let's turn on the line of sight and let's look at the player view and the DM's view. So that's kind of what this looks like when you're done with it. So I'm going to turn that off temporarily and go to the light tool. And I'm going to actually take both of these mist things here and label it. So this is going to be mist. This one goes to the right and then mist to the left. So just going to put L and R. And then I want to get a folder. And I'm just going to call this mist effects. And I'm going to drag and drop these into the folder. So that way they're all together. And then if I want to lock it, I can. And then I can turn the visibility off for right now, so it doesn't impair what I'm doing. Then I'm going to put candlelight on all these little candles. So let's see what we can do here. So I'm going to go ahead and assign it to its own level. So just click on anywhere away from these. And then I'm going to go to the add light. And then the behavior or the type, I'm going to go with candle. And then I'm just going to click where these candles are. So there's there. So you can click on here and just place these wherever there's a candlelight. And there's a couple more down here. So I grab those. And you can see it made its own layer. So I'm going to name that soon. So these are like candelabras. So there's 2 or 3 groups of candles on here. This is like a dining table or some kind of eating table. I don't think there's any. Oh yeah, there's some down here. There's a candle right here, candle right there. Anything else like that? Nope. Let's check this room in the hallway. No candles there. There's a map of the house. How cool. Okay, so no lanterns or candles. This room's dark. Okay, so what we can do with this is we'll lock it, and I'm going to rename it as candles so I know what it is. And then I'll just leave it there, and it's got its own level. And now when you come back to play mode, let's see what we got. So you come out here, turn that off. This is what the players would see if they don't have a dark vision or any sort of lighting. That's basically what they would see. That's pretty cool. So that's what it looks like in player view, and then when you turn off the player view, this is the GM view. You still see the candlelight that's being given out, but that's basically how that works. And then we can put the candles underneath the mist effect layer. So when we have that on, it's obscured by the fog, and it's not sitting on top of the fog. So that's kind of cool. So if we go to player mode, that's basically what they're going to see. So it's going to be like this obscured thing here. That's really cool. So that's basically the fog that's out in the hallway. Maybe it's slipping through the cracks in the walls, who knows. Maybe it's a ghostly apparition. So that's how that works. So if you wanted to see the normal view for the GM view, that's what that looks like. And then you can do all kinds of things with effects, but I think that's good enough for this level, and that should help you kind of get an idea of how to attack some of these maps that you might come across. Most of the content is already got line of sight on it, so if you buy a module online, you'll basically get the line of sight included. So if you buy an official book, a lot of the walls and stuff are done. And you can just add furniture and some of these effects and be done with it. But I like this candle flicker, and you got these documents up here, and got these beds. Probably put somebody dead that's laying down in the bed. So if I had a dead villager, maybe I can put some blood on the bed or something like that. And I noticed there's another shelf over here that I missed, which is not a big deal. But anyhow, that's how you do your line of sight. And once you've saved it, and once it's part of your campaign, it's pretty much a done deal. So that's that. So then I would relabel the map. So I'm gonna go map, comma, Haunted Horror House 2. We'll say level 2, and that's gonna be. And then I'll just say second floor over here. And what I'll do is I'll hide this title because I don't want them to see this. I want them to see second floor. And then I'll just lock it. And when I go to share it with my players, I'll make sure that I have it sized accordingly because I don't want it that big. I'll have it like right about there. And I'll bookmark it so that when I need to use it, it's right there. And if I accidentally close it, it's going to be at my beck and call. So just close that and then just click on the map shortcut and it will bring that up. When you want to adjust the line of sight, you can. You hit Control P and you got the map selected. You can see that's what the players are going to see when they first get on the map. So they're coming from the right hand side where the staircase comes up. So that's basically, and to do that, you would go to the images folder where you have all your other maps. And then I have the first floor already done. So if I go up to this already has all the lighting and stuff in it. And then, like I said, here's the staircase. We'll just say that it connects up here. So what we'll do is I'll take and link these together to make it simpler for you to run this. So what I would do is pin these together so that you're not looking for them. And so this staircase, I'm going to pin this location to there. And then for this area where the staircase ends, I'm going to grab and drag and drop this pin. Players don't see that, but that's basically how you would call this up for quicker recall. When you want to run the game, you're not wanting to deal with all that mess. So what I would do there is just have this ready to go for the game. And then when they go up the stairs, bring up that map, put them on the map, and they would be up here where they show up. So that's just a matter of going to your combat tracker and then taking the group from downstairs, if they come up as a group, and drag and drop the entire group in this area up here. So if I grab this friendly block here and set that like that, then I can bring them all in. Unfortunately, it's such a small area that it put them outside. So what you have to do there is hold down the shift key. That way you can drag them through walls. Otherwise, it won't let you. There we go. So this is the group. And the reason it looks like this, because they have dark vision, some of them. So like Maven can see all that. But Cornwall here, he can only see the light from the candles. Malhavoc is Aaron Malhavoc is Bard. And Bralem is Garson, has got some kind of vision. So some of these characters have vision, so that's why they're able to see like that. And then when you want to see it from their point of view, you hit Control P, and that's basically the player's view. So there you go. So link the maps together when you need to, and then you'll have more of a consistent experience that way. See, these are doubled up like this. Close this map. I can recenter this, put the tool away. And then, so when they get up to this part of the map, so I want to take all of the party members, drag and drop them here. Hold down the shift key. That way I can bring them inside. The door's open. ahead and hit the shift key for him. But basically, that's what you're gonna be seeing when you bring him in. So when she gets upstairs and goes up to this point, you can just drag and drop her, move her over onto this map. Yep. So that's basically where she would end up. Shift key. Bring her over here. So there you go. So that's basically how you would link the two maps together. And then this fog is kind of annoying, but it is a kind of a cool effect. But anyhow, that's how you do that. So if you guys got any questions, I will answer them. If not, let's call it a day. You guys have a good evening. Enjoy the rest of your week. I'm running a Fantasy Grounds Unity level 3 through 5 one-shot on the 30th. So that's Saturday, the day before Halloween, on Hallows Eve. The details are in the description of the video at the bottom, and you'll also see it on social media. I have that going out. So if you want to play in a one-shot around 3 p.m. Eastern time, Eastern US time, on the 30th Saturday before Halloween, join us for a one-shot. All the characters are, take care, Robus. Good to see you. All the characters are pre-made, so you don't have to worry about them. That's actually showing you there. So